In 1995, they let out Pocahontas, the first Disney film based on a historical fact. Hey, wait a minute, what about Sword in the Stone? I mean, it had King Arthur, so...
Pockety, pockety, walkety, whack.
Alright. During the time when Europeans go to the New World to find gold, a young native woman called Pocahontas falls in love with the English captain, John Smith. John's buddy, Thomas, killed a native called Cocoon, and John took the blame. So Pocahontas tries to find the path for peace between the Powhatan tribe and the Jamestown settlers. The crew had to go to Jamestown, Virginia a lot to see the tall trees and the long landscape. Also, they have to study and do some research on the colonial period. At different times of the production, the staff have to be with some Native American scholars and storytellers to learn how to put the authentic aspect of the Powhatan culture into the film. 3 actors in the movie would later on do other Pocahontas projects. Gordon Tutusis, who voiced Kekata, the medicine dude, also played Chief Powhatan in Pocahontas the Legend. Also, Christian Bale, who voiced Thomas, and Irene Bedard, who voiced the speaking role of Pocahontas, would both appear in the New World. By the way, this is the first film that features Mel Gibson singing. There was a song called If I Never Knew You that was removed from the original release because the kids at the test audience thought it was too boring. It was first heard on ABC. However, the animation was in black and white. They added color for the 10th anniversary DVD. Originally, there was supposed to be a 3rd animal assistant for Pocahontas called Red Feather, a turkey that was voiced by John Candy. And yes, the animals were supposed to talk. After John Candy's death in 1994, they removed Red Feather completely, and the staff decided for the animals to not talk for realism. On the world premiere, it was outdoors in New York Central Park on June 10, 1995. It set a world record as the world's largest world premiere with over 100,000 people who attended. The film did pretty well at the box office with more than $140 million domestically. Sadly, it was less successful than what Disney thought. They had high hopes for the film and thought that it would be nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture like Beauty and the Beast. The reason that it was less successful was probably because that some scenes dealt with more adult tones. In 1996, they released what Michael Eisner said to be his favorite film, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's the story of an ugly outsider with a heart of gold named Quasimodo, who one time went on the streets of Paris and falls in love with a gypsy named Esmeralda. Although that he was heartbroken that she already has a boyfriend with the captain of the king's guards, Phoebus, he risks everything to help them from his evil surrogate father, Judge Claude Frollo. When the directors of Beauty and the Beast, Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise, read the novel by Victor Hugo, they knew that they gotta make an adaptation of it. All they need to do is make it more suitable for children, like make Quasimodo, Esmeralda, and Phoebus nicer, add 3 gargoyle psychics, and keep the protagonist of the story alive in the end. Also, having this film rated G might be surprising if you saw the film. I mean, it would go to complicated and dark aspects of Christianity. Some characters show desires to do it to another, and they would say some mature words like hell. And it's the first Disney film to say damn.
Damnation?
Aw, I thought they would say it like this. The opening scene, where Clopin sings The Bells of Notre Dame, was supposed to be all spoken. After 2 revisions, the staff thought it was so dull and so boring. They decided to liven it up by making it into a musical number. The song Someday was sung over the credits by the group All for One, but in Europe, they replaced them with the British band Eternal. If you look closely, there are different Disney characters that appeared in the film. During the song Out There, we can see Belle from Beauty and the Beast reading her book, and Pumbaa from The Lion King being carried on a pole by two guys. It was noted that this is Mary Wick's, the voice of Laverne's, last film before her death. During the premiere on June 19, 1996, it was shown on 6 huge screens in the Superdome in New Orleans. After the film, they released a parade in the French Quarters. On its regular release, the critics loved the film, except for fans of Victor Hugo. They feel like Disney mostly censored some aspects of the novel. Box office-wise, it did good, but not as good as the past films with $325 million worldwide. Either way, it did had a show at Disney's Hollywood Studios that ran for about, I say, 5 years? Then, in the next year, they have released Hercules. It's the story of the life of a guy named Hercules, the son of the gods Zeus and Hera. He was adopted by humans and trains with Philoctetes, but Hercules' uncle, Hades, ruler of the underworld, sends monsters to kill him. But Hercules defeated them all and began to grow fame. Like in Aladdin, all the main characters had a supervising animator. Hercules had Andreastasia, and he said that the animation crew he worked with to animate Hercules was the largest he ever worked with. Before, when he was animating Gaston, Jafar, and Scar, he had like 4 animators. But for Hercules, he had about 12 or 13. For Megara, it was Ken Duncan, and he said that she was based on a 40s screwball comedian. Which one? I don't know. Nick Ranieri got to do Hades for this film. Originally, Hades was supposed to be slow and menacing, but when James Woods got casted, he's now more rapid fire. Nick said that Hades was based on a Hollywood agent, the car salesman type. The hardest part about animating Hades, though, was that he talks too fast and too much, and the fact that James Woods would usually ad-lib doesn't really help. It would take Nick about 2 weeks just to animate a 1-second scene. Finally, for Phil, it was Eric Goldberg that got the job. The inspiration for the character design was from Grumpy from Snow White and Bacchus from Fantasia. He discovered that Phil's voice, Danny DeVito, had different mouth shapes, and would use that to animate Phil. In one scene, Phil cleans himself with the skin of Scar from The Lion King. Great, first Pumbaa, now Scar? The next thing you know is that Timon will be stuffed and placed in Mulan's house for decoration. To market the film, they sold some toys, action figures, and books both before and after the film's release. In New York City, they made an entire Hercules-themed electrical parade, like in the ones at the Disney theme parks. 2 weeks after the parade, the film was released. And the result? It did pretty much like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. The critics loved it. I mean, check out RottenTomatoes.com, it has 89% fresh. But it didn't make as much money as the other Disney films with more than $250 million worldwide.
Almighty Zeus, please, hear me and